Want to continue with the Crenshaw stuff because I have him on Rogan. If you really, really want to, we might as well, right? It wouldn't make sense to go back.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Dan Crenshaw on Rogan doing. By the way, he's on Rogan right now because there was a call made. I guarantee you from Crenshaw's people going, "Hey man, can you get me on Rogan? I really, it's a red flag." By the way, this came out before the Hassan Piker stuff came out. Just so you know.
We'll talk about issues in this country. There's a giant divide with one thing in particular, and that is mass shootings and gun control. There's a giant divide between people that are Second Amendment advocates and people that want to round up.
You're a Second Amendment. This is why fucking pour him in any container he'll fill it. Joe Rogan is such a phony with this shit. You're the Second Amendment activist. You have a lot of guns.
Up all the assault weapons and take away all the guns, and they think the guns are the problem. When you see this pretty disturbing increase in mass shootings in this country,
Mm-hmm.
what is your take on it, and what do you think could be done?
Well, it's awful. They're terrorist attacks, and I think it's safer to call them that. Whether depending on how you define a mass shooting.
I don't like his Bluetooth eye patch.
Yeah, I was going to
really
say,
bugging me.
There's no strings on it. It's like floating there. Can you see the power level of other Dragon Ball characters through it?
Yeah, there's like a display like the inside of the fucking iron suit.
That's pretty cool.
When we look at murder statistics, we're actually at a very, very low point in our history. I mean, look at the early 90s, it was vastly more murders by gun.
Period. End of story. Then you're not going to do red flag laws if that's the case, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Than we have now. Just statistically speaking.
What's that because of? Do they know?
Well, there was a massive kind of war on crime, I think, in the 90s. Increase in police. You know, you had some of the crime bills that went through, which are obviously the source of a lot of debate right now in the Democrat primary. And it was just there was an approach to fix that. Okay, tackling gang violence, tackling all of these things.
Yeah, and none of it worked, by the way. It all failed miserably.
Yeah, miserable.
We live in a much, even though you wouldn't think so, because of these kind of theatrical. Again, they're terrorist attacks. I don't know what else to call them,
Right.
because the person doing it is trying to commit terror,
Right.
And for different reasons, of course, but or at least they attach themselves to some kind of reason. But in the end, they're angry at something, and they've probably been taking some kind of psychotropic drugs over time, and they've gotten to this point, and they'll attach themselves to whatever reason they need to do this, and it's awful. So, how do you fix that? We have to understand the problem. We have to diagnose it, and then we got to.
Why do you have to do that, though?
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
Why do you like? Don't give me the we have to. Why? Why do you have to? Why do you? Do you understand that, like, there's still a very large percentage of us Americans who don't believe that the government does anything efficiently or well.
Yeah, correct.
Get over the fact that you feel like there's a problem and you need to fix it. And get back to the fact that many of us don't think that you're capable of fixing any problems.
This is a good point. The DMV is terrible no matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to a government building, IRS, going to any sort of government building where the government has to take care of something, it doesn't matter if it was Trump who was president, Obama who was president, Reagan. It's a terrible experience because the government is not something that is, because the government is kind of, can't fail, right? Because people always complain about companies being too big to fail. The government is a big company that's too big to fail. So even when they start hemorrhaging money, like the United States Postal Service, right? I've Postal Service people go, actually the Postal Service only makes money from stamps and stuff, and they also get bailed out every year. We are giving them money, right? We don't want any of you morons. We want less of you morons, and that's the problem. A lot of these fucking neocons run on the like, we need less government. And when they go in there, it's always more government. The solution is always more government because you guys are dumb. These neocons are running under the guise of we need less government. They're basically running on a platform of like, you don't even need me. But if you got to vote for someone, vote for me. There's always more governments. There's always more laws. laws are really easy to pass. People make it seem like they're difficult, but you take a little while, you put the right thing in the bill. So, you say you're going to save condors in a bill, and also that bill is going to, feed homeless families. And before you know it, they're taking guns from everybody because laws are easy to pass. You know what's really difficult? Repealing those laws. Nobody wants to be the person who goes up there and go, this is a bad, you know what? We tried this law. It's fucked up. It didn't work. Why don't we just stop it? Why don't we stop this dumb law? Nobody wants it. There's always more. Every year there is a net positive of new laws, new code enforcements, no matter who the president is, no matter if he's going to drain the swamp. There's always more. And I think that's really important to point out because people make it seem like, well, they think the government's too big. Then why do they keep passing more and more laws? No matter who's in there, we just keep passing new laws and passing new laws and new laws and new enforcement and shitty, and not even good laws, just shitty, dumb laws so you could scratch the back of whoever the fucking lobbyist was that took you to Ruth Chris and you played golf with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody cares who's delivering the shit news. It's shit news.
The more the government gets involved, the worse it's going to get. We have an extensive welfare system and a court system that's slanted against men. There's 26 of the, like somebody said in the chat, 26 of the 27 of these shooters did not have dad in the home. Some of them seem to have happened under tragic circumstances. I believe Zach, what's his face? Park
Morris.
I don't think Zach Morris did it. Or Nicholas Cruz, right?
Nicholas Cruz,
He was the, I believe his mom died, and it was like, that was like, that's obviously going to happen sometimes. But the government created this horrible public education system. The government created this welfare system that any single mom has this escape plan. They have this, like, parachute. If things go bad, they'll just leave a guy and get on welfare. The court system. Women will always get the kid. Single moms watching RuPaul Drag Race. Then the dad has to pay and has to work 9 jobs and usually just doesn't get to be around. So,
and then he won't update your Roku when you send shit to him.
But it's the whole system is set up to destroy the family. And if you destroy the family, people are just going to get angry and keep shooting places up. And all the red flag laws in the world and all the one-eyed fucking retards like Dan Crenshaw in the world are not going to save you.
Okay, and I think the vast majority of proposals fail both of those standards. They definitely infringe on law-abiding citizens' rights, and they probably wouldn't even solve the problem. Look at example is assault rifles. Or it's not, ARs. Okay, they're called assault rifles. They're really, the reason they're an AR is because they're called Armalite. That's a brand.
Yeah, we know. We've seen all the memes on God, Emperor Trump, save us.
Assault rifle is not a real thing. It's not a real definition. And but what if you banned them? Well, rifles are responsible for less than 3% of all gun deaths. About 2.66% of all gun deaths. Okay, hammers and knives.
I love this. This is a beautiful compliment sandwich. Now he's like, and now wait till the red flag law.
He's going to make the cool based comment and be like,
but
knives, I think, are responsible for far more deaths.
Is that true?
Yes.
Hammers and knives are responsible for more deaths than rifles?
Got statistics.
Including ARs.
In my bag. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Rifles account for 2.66%
How many
of
folks
gun
are killing
deaths.
people with hammers?
Well, the Mario Brothers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good weapon, I guess.
Wait, are we counting Gallagher's watermelons as victims? Because that's...
No, I don't count them. I don't think watermelons are people.
That's going to cause an aberration in the statistics.
Yeah.
All right.
Good if somebody has a hammer. If all you have is a hammer...
Well, but if you have a gun, you're doing pretty well.
Even if you don't have a gun, I feel like I could stop a hammer.
Yeah, but you're a pretty good fighter.
Oh, because you're a karate fighter, Joe. We know how cool you are.
Well, you have to
People that
understand
get killed
this.
with hammers are women and stuff that their husband goes nuts and kill them with a fucking hammer.
Wait, I just got it, too. They're probably counting all of the victims of Triple H's red hot run during the Attitude Era.
But he doesn't even use the hammer correctly.
Put his hand over
Yeah,
it.
it was terrible.
Just
Yeah.
being so careful with that thing.
More people have been killed by MC hammers, financial woes, than fucking rifles.
Do a goddamn thing about an AR.
Well, that's not true. I can take away your AR if you're...
For how close do you have to be to do that?
I just got to reach it.
I'm sorry. Are these two tough guys? talking about how I would just take your AR away.
I'll just take your fucking fully loaded rifle out of your hands.
Hey, listen, Mike Trout. No, the fuck you're not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just karate kick it.
To be fair, though, it is a very, very dumb move to ever be within reach.
No, look, I agree. I agree, but you're still going to have a tough shot taking it away, you know?
It's very easy to take away an AR.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How easy?
I just need to get a hand on the barrel.
You should give out AR takeaway classes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've taken those classes.
Yeah. By the way, if they fired the AR before, you go ahead and grab that barrel.
At least I know it's fuck,
dude. It's these guys
are practice knife fighting.
Are they going to show each other their scars?
They're going to practice knife fighting. Remember, like Master Poe used to do.
Yeah. Remember that story when Joe Rogan, when he was still like doing jokes on his show instead of whatever the fucking nightly news bullshit this is? He was talking about how he was doing jujitsu and listening to Gangster Fag. Remember Gangster Fag? When he did the whole Gangster Fag thing, and he was just doing jujitsu and listening to Gangster Fag with his friend, and now he's interviewing congressmen
of them, and it's just not an easy conversation.
Right.
And so let's also think about where these things started. We're talking about the theatrical mass shootings. There's a lot of statistics out there. They'll say we have hundreds of them, which include 4 or more deaths, but these are usually gang violence. So gang violence it's in a category, right?
I believe there was 279 mass shootings so far this year, and some of them they do include gang violence.
There were 279 mass shootings. I feel like somebody's cooking some books here, and I feel like we're recategorizing things and moving districts around and making things old politician tricks.
Well, they consider and what they're talking about, they consider any shooting where 4 or more people are not killed but injured qualifies as a mass shooting.
But that doesn't mean even shot. That means
injured.
That means if I shot a gun in the air and I caused a stampede, that could technically be viewed as a mass shooting.
Correct.
Come on.
I think it's 2 or more. Is that what it's deemed, mass shootings?
Yeah, it might be more.
Which is so fucking weird that we have a statistic. Well, that doesn't count. It's only.
Well, I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere, and you got to.
All right, Joe. Well, then I have an idea. Turn your guns in. No, because he's Mr. Guns.
And your crossbows. Those are deadly.
Your crossbows are also deadly. We'll turn them in as well. Like, where do you draw the line here,
he's
Joe?
Rich.
Oh, you're right. I forgot.
Be able to analyze. If you're going to analyze it, you have to look into that. But I think the dramatized shootings that these guys are doing, it all started with Columbine, and it's become this sort of copycat crime that has occurred over time. And we didn't have this before that, and I think that's interesting, and I think it's something to take note of. And it's not clear what you do about that.
Now I think he gets into his policy.
You have to look for signs of people before they do it.
Pre-crime. I'll say the word because the way you're saying it sounds but we're talking pre-crime, right?
We're talking Minority Report.
Okay.
Like straight up pre-crime.
And by the way, these red flag laws, even the ones he's passing, we're not talking about a kid who made that threat, I'm going to take my dad's gun and shoot up a school. We're not talking about that. We're talking about anything that could be deemed.
And so one bill that I'm on, which is I've taken a lot of fire for because the people are just, I think, misunderstand what it actually is.
Because they're fucking idiots, and I'm a genius.
No, it's because they don't like the bill.
Let me be clear here, Dan. I understand 100% what it is, and I think it's stupid. It's not that I don't. This is girl mentality that he's doing right now, which is like, no. It's not that you don't like it. It's just you don't get it. If you got it, you like it.
Yeah.
No, I'm never gonna like Gilmore Girls, even if I get it.
Is the TAPS Act, which is the Threat Assessment, Prevention and Safety Act. All this does is give local law enforcement the ability to apply for grants to get training and behavioral threat.
It's a law. It's a law. Same thing with seatbelts. Same thing with speed limits. Same thing with school funding. Same thing with drinking age. Same thing with certain programs. Same thing with Common Core. Same thing with you do what we say or we will not give you money. And it's not grants. It's withholding money if you don't do it.
Correct.
Threat Assessment, Prevention and Safety Act. All this does is give local law enforcement the ability to...
The power of the federal government and all their resources. That way they could really fuck you when they don't like you.
To apply for grants to get training and behavioral threat assessment training and data analytical tools to identify these threats beforehand.
And people that are opposed to it, they look at it like red flag laws, right?
They combine those two quite a bit,
Yeah.
and that's just not. It's not true. I mean, the tap.
Okay, no, Danny boy, old Danny boy. Because he's talking now. You notice how he's trying to back away from the red flag stuff. We've played clips on this show of you saying that no, we're doing a red flag law. It's just not like they're red. You're also for red
Sack.
flag laws. He's acting like he's just for this tap sack, which is stupid also. But he's also acting like he's not for red flag laws. We've seen you say no, but it's a new red flag laws.
Doesn't actually have anything to do with guns.
And red flag laws, depending on how they're implemented, could take someone who looks like they're erratic or who has a penchant for violence, and they would say, you do not have access to guns.
Right. In theory, that would be how they
If
work.
you have a penchant for violence, you already cannot obtain a firearm. If you have any violent felonies or crimes in your history, it is very difficult to obtain a firearm.
Literally anybody in the UFC wouldn't be allowed to have a gun. Because they fight professionally. McGregor just punched a 50-year-old in the stomach the other day.
And they would fill a gap, I think.
Yeah,
and
that 50-year-old
depends
had
on
it coming, though.
No, I'm not saying he
He
didn't.
wouldn't drink his whiskey.
But I'm not.
So clearly, he needed to
He
be
should be punched in the stomach?
in his
Yeah.
face. Oh, wait, no, this is another guy in the stomach?
Yeah, in the stomach.
Because the other guy was in the face.
McGregor hits a lot of people, Mike.
He's very punchy.
He's very punchy.
But he understands, right? You're supposed to do that in the UFC.
So nobody who's ever gotten into a bar fight should be allowed to own a gun, right? If you got into because
Well, Conor McGregor probably shouldn't own it.
No,
in my opinion. I would rather him not have a gun.
But my point is, if you ever got into a bar fight in your life, you're not allowed to own a gun ever again?
Never.
By the way, Rogan, Joey boy, technically speaking, you shouldn't be allowed to own firearms because you smoke marijuana. And that's the rule, right? In many states, if you smoke weed, if you have a medical card for weed, you are not allowed to own a gun.
Not just marijuana, but you like mushrooms and
Or anything,
DMT.
yeah.
I don't want some guy all shroomed out with a rifle.
Yeah,
in the
we don't
house.
know what you're going to do.
You know, you're going to go all Chris Benoit because you had a bad trip, you fucking hophead. Who knows?
See what happens when you start playing this game?
Some states have all the ability they need to see threatening behavior and then arrest that person. But it depends on criminal law within that state. So theoretically, a red flag law would fill that gap. The concern with red flag laws, obviously, is there really due process? A lot of people hear that and they're like, okay, that means my neighbor can tell on me and they're going to have my guns the next morning. Well, yeah, I mean, if that's how the law was written, then yeah, you better be against that because that's a terrible law.
Right.
But how are you going to write it? Oh, enlighten one. Oh, the only reason that people give a fuck what you think is because you lost your eye. Please tell me, guy who's no better than anybody in Generation Kill. Tell me how your law, how you're even qualified.
And the best part is, you know, he's the new John McCain, whatever, the new Golden Boy. But at least John McCain would have been able to do this under the guise of, I have many, many years experience in the Senate. I'm going to get this done in a way that does. Like, this guy's like Mr. He's like going, don't worry, I got it under control. And you're like, listen here, junior congressman. Listen here, fucking new boy, fucking Proby. That's what he would be. If you were working in a firehouse or in a police station, they'd be calling you a Proby right now. They'd be like, all right, kiddo, you know what I mean? What you say? Listen, you're going to tail Detective Lopez for a couple weeks. He's going to work the case. You're going to watch him. If he tells you to run something to forensics, you're going to do it the way he says it. You're going to learn from one of our guys that's been doing this for 20 years. Not just, don't worry, I've got it under control. Life's not a TV show. Just because you have a cool eye patch. That's not how it works.
They would be pranking him to do an office pop.
And to be fair to a lot of the people who don't like red flag laws, they see how these are written in a lot of states. I think
Better than you, by the way. Statistically speaking, everybody sees better than you.
California has one, and they see how those are written, and they say this doesn't protect due process. How can we possibly be for this? Now, on the other hand, there hasn't been any cases where there's been some obvious abuse of that law either. So. I've encouraged the conversation.
How would you know?
We're having conversations.
No. You didn't say you encouraged the conversation, you lying two-faced fuck. You said you were going to do this. They are currently, right now as we speak, working on this red flag law. You and Lindsey Graham are working on it together.
I think it's
the
a fabulous idea, personally. Guns make me nervous.
Every time Dan Crenshaw works with Lindsey Graham, he makes Dan Crenshaw pop his top off, where being a fucking tank top while he's there. Worked so hard.
What about this, Dan? What if I fuck your eye hole? That's not gay, right? It's your eye hole. You're not going to derive any pleasure from it.
conversation has to happen at the state level because every state has different criminal law, and that's where criminal law happens. It does not
except for federal law. But let's forget that.
happen at the federal
We're just
level.
going to blow right past that.
But you see what I mean? He's not even good at being a politician. Like you said that thing about John McCain. John McCain was a piece of shit, but he was a politician. He knew how to sell stuff. This guy, he's just like, criminal law is where it What about federal law, man? Do we just ignoring that?
Yes.
Okay.
The only other controversial approach that I've heard is putting armed police or soldiers at schools, which is like that seems incredibly disturbing to me.
There's already schools that have armed security guards. So why is that disturbing to you? This is the thing with Rogan. So you could walk around with your crossbow and your guns and it's cool because everybody trusts Joe Rogan. But having an armed security guard that might have been trained, that's a problem. He is, by the way, the same Joe Rogan now that's leaving LA. You know he's leaving California, right? He's moving.
He's moving to like Wyoming, or
Idaho. Which is great because he's so big now that people will fly to Idaho to be on his show.
That you
I don't
have to have people.
Yeah, I just thought about that too. He's probably going to get tax breaks like a motherfucker.
In Idaho, yeah.
Well, I mean, not just compared to California, but I mean on top of what a normal person does. Because they're going to go come to Idaho. We're going to be able to call this the home of the Joe Rogan thing.
Yep.
He'll be attracting, famous people to come do the show. Like that's
People
I'm sure
will
that-
fly there to do his show, yeah.
They'll line up and suck his dick for that. You're probably going to pay like no taxes for 10 years to live there.
All right. He fixes Idaho's entire economy
They just
by
gave
himself.
him the city hall. No, what's going to happen is he's going to create like a town that's going to become like an Austin, Texas, but for Idaho, where all these degenerate fucking there's good to watch. These degenerates, a bunch of them are going to follow Joe Rogan over there now.
Oh, you're right.
And it's going to become like there's going to be a new
comedy scene?
blue town in fucking Idaho where it's all cool, like Austin, Texas, man. But like it's Idaho. Watch what happens, and it's going to flip the fucking state.